Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and on screen we have a remarkable looking puzzle. This is by Mad Mahogany, and he has tried to create a hybrid of Yajilin, the pencil puzzle from Japan, which I'm a big fan of, and Sudoku. Now, this appeared on our Discord server a few days ago and has been getting rave reviews. Apparently it's an absolute masterpiece, so I'm very much looking forward to trying it, even though I'm somewhat perplexed it's possible to create. Now, before we get into the rules, there is a quick shout out I want to give for a variety of stuff we've got going on over on Patreon at the moment. So free, not behind the paywall, we have Prasanna Seshadri's card game based puzzles. Two very nice puzzles indeed. I enjoyed them. I think you guys will too. So you can download those over on our Patreon page right now. Not behind the paywall at all. And then if you are a patron of the channel, we have Joka van Veenendaal's Puzzle Hunt. Now, I do not know how many correct solutions we've had to this so far, but it is hundreds, literally hundreds, and all of the comments unanimously have been positive. So do have a look at it, it is well worth it. The other thing we've got for those of you who enjoy the cryptic crossword content is Mark's solve of a recent listener crossword. It is always interesting to watch Mark solve these puzzles, and I definitely, check that out. If you like cryptic crosswords, there's nothing better. Now, let me read you the rules of this puzzle. This is interesting. We need to place some blocks in the grid. The grey cells are clues for the number of blocks in the given direction. Blocks cannot touch orthogonally. And the remainder of the grid, i.e. the part that isn't blocks and isn't clues, must be part of a single continuous, non-intersecting loop. And that's why we're in Pemper today to solve the puzzle as the interface, because I need to be able to draw a loop apparently. Now the Sudoku part of it is relatively simple. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply with the digits in the grey cells obviously acting as the Yajilin clues. Also, now this is interesting, the loop can only turn in a cell containing an odd digit. So yeah, okay, that's what's going on. Now, I know a number of you may not be familiar with Yajilin or may be familiar but have not solved one for a while. So what I did earlier on is I went to a Japanese website and I found a Yajilin puzzle. Now, I've just lost it again. 1 second. Right, found it. It's here. So I'm going to put a link to this under the video as well, so that if you're not familiar and you just want to play around with it and remember how Yajilin works, you can. So let's have a look at this puzzle together. It should be about a 1 minute offering. So you can see the zeros. So if there's 0 clues in the grid, we can just indicate with dots, which is a right click, that there is no block in those directions. The 4 and the 3 clue here. The 3 clue is saying there are 3 blocks to the right of it. Well, if there are 4 blocks to the right of this one, obviously that square is going to have to be a block. What else can we do straightforwardly? This 3 clue, we can't fit 3 clues into the 4 cells because the blocks can't touch each other orthogonally. So that square is going to have to be black. Look at the 2 clue. So the 2 clue, how are we going to fit 2 blocks in these 4 squares without stranding the loop? If we go for this block, for example, the loop would come into the corner and it could never escape. So that doesn't work. And the same logic obviously applies there as regards this cell. So in fact, we're able to say with certainty that these must be the blocks, the 2 blocks this clue is pointing to. And we can put dots next to them. And this is now where we can start. Look, whenever you see a dot in a corner, you can start to make progress, and we must keep these loop ends apart. That's a very common theme with the Yajilin, is that you need to make sure you don't create more than 1 loop. The 2 clue up here is symmetrical with this one, look, so the same logic will apply. We can just fill in those like this. Must do that. This 4 clue. This square's got to be a block because I can't fit 4 squares anymore along here. So that's a block, that pushes our loop at the top out a little bit. That must be a block as well. One of these 2 is a block. If it's that one, the loop gets stranded, so we in fact know it must be this one. That's got to go round there now. That's got to be a dot. This one clue is very nice. That plonks a block here. And now we've just got to be careful not to join the loop too quickly. So we can get all those. What else? Can we do any more? The three clue here, yes, that must be a block. That pushes the loop a bit further. This can't be a block, so that must be a block. And this dot in this corner, look, once we use it, once we place the loop in it, the loop's going to have to go round this circle again. And this must be a block to complete the 3 clue. So this 1 clue gets completed here, and now all we've got to do is try to make sure that we visit all the dot squares. And you can see we're quite constrained. We mustn't connect the loop up here. And there you go. That's how to solve the puzzle. So that's a very quick run through. Do have a look at this puzzle yourselves, and you'll find just a refresher for Yajilin. Now let's go back to Mad Mahogany's puzzle. Oh my goodness, and see how we're going to go. Do have a look at this. You click on the link under the video. As I say, it's a Pemper link today, and with that, let's get cracking. Now, I don't know whether it's better to start with Sudoku. I think I'm going to start with Sudoku. We seem to have a lot of given digits here, so maybe, yes, I can place a 9 there. Look, oh, I don't want to place, how do I do a 9? A 9 is with a number. Yes, okay, you select number if you want to write numbers in. That square's got to be a 9 by Sudoku. Right, now, look, these 9s now, this one and this one, point to one of these 3 squares as having a 9. Well, we can never put a 9 in a Yajilin clue, because we couldn't place 9 blocks to the left of it. There are only 3 cells, and even the maximum number of blocks would be 2, because they can't be orthogonally connected. So in fact, we're going to have to pencil mark 9s into those 2 squares, and the way I've done that is by selecting the quarter option. Now, 8 here and 8 here. There's got to be an 8 in one of those 2. It's not going to be the Yajilin clue, so we actually get to place an 8 in the grid. We get to place another 8 in the grid. Now this is interesting. Again, these 8s now interact, because we know that the 8 can't appear in a Yajilin clue. Even this clue at the top, there's no way that could be a Yajilin clue. How many blocks can we put in? 1, 2, and then we could put in 2 in this run of 4 cells here as a maximum. So the maximum value of that square is actually 4. So let's label that up and note that the 8 is going to appear in one of those 2 positions. Right, and let's continue with Sudoku then, because if we've got 8s here and here, and this 8, that square is an 8. Let's put quarter marks over on this side. 6, look, must be in one of these 2 squares by Sudoku. Four must be in one of these 2 squares. I'm not sure, but it feels like I'm running out of gas here with the Sudoku part of it. 9s are in one of those 2. I can't put it in the Yajilin clue. 9s are in one of these 2. No, okay. So I think I could well be missing something, but I'm going to now look at Yajilin. And the clue I want to look at actually is this one, because I suddenly noticed this is in the same 3x3 block as this one. So we can use the Sudoku to help us here, because these cannot contain the same digit. So it's a bit like the Yajilin we looked at earlier, where there was a 4 and a 3. Well, that will be forced to be the case here. Not necessarily that this is a 4, but this square definitely has to have a block in it, because whatever I put in there, this square is going to have to be less than that. So in fact, this can't be a 1 for that reason, can it? So this square's got to be 2, 3, or 4. This square's got to be 1, 2, or 3. And this square has got to be a Yajilin block. Now, how shall I do that? I will do that in red. Yes, red. There we go. Now, no, hang on a minute. hang on, sorry, I should have started with this block, shouldn't I? Because no way this square can need loop. Because if that has loop, how do I do loop? I select composite, I think. Loop. Oh, yeah, Yajilin. There we go. So look, if the loop goes into this square, it can't get out. So it doesn't go into this square. So this square here must also be a Yajilin block. And remember, Yajilin blocks cannot touch each other orthogonally. So this square, how do I do this? Sorry, this square and this square must be part of the loop. Now, if this square is part of the loop is going to have to do this. And then it extends, and then it hits an even digit. And an even digit is not an odd digit. There you go, you learn things every day on Cracking the Cryptic. But if it's not an odd digit, you can't turn in this square. So this square's got to continue. Oh, this is fascinating, isn't it? Now, the other thing I've just that's caught my eye here is this 2 in this corner. Because that means the loop can't go into this corner, because if it did, it would turn on the 2, which is not allowed. So if this square, it can't be a clue square, and it can't be a loop square, it must be a red block. So that's a red block, which means the cells next to it have got to be in the loop. Therefore, that you create a whole series of corners in box 7 here, and the corners have to take odd digits. Oh, and this has hit an 8. So it's got to continue. And now it goes in a tunnel. Look, there's a tunnel created by these, so it's got to carry on there. And this square now, this 6, the loop can't go in there, because if it went in there, it wouldn't get out again. So we get another red square here, and we can place another dot. Okay. So this is a Yajilin clue pointing in this direction. And there's exactly one red block in this direction. So I think this square has to just be a 1. And in fact, that square's got to be a 1 as well, because it's too close to the boundary to be a 2, and it can't be a 0. So that's a 1. That's a 1. And the red dot or the red block associated with this 1 can't be here, because that will force the loop to go in the corner where it can't escape. So we actually get to place this one as well, and this is gorgeous. Now look. So we know the orthogonally connected cells with this 7 are loop squares. So this is loop, this is loop, this is loop. So the loop is going to have to enter this run and then turn round, and then we don't know if it goes up here. It could connect here, but that's got to continue. This square must be an odd number now. And it's a 3. It's a 3 because look, if it's got to be odd, 1, 5, 7 and 9 are all unavailable. That square is a 3. That means there's a 3 we can pencil mark in one of those 2 cells. And this square has also got to be odd, hasn't it? That's got to be 5. Oh, oopsie, wrong pencil mark. This square's got to be 5 or 9. This square's got to be odd. That's got to be... Oh, that's not helpful. 1, 3, 5 or 7, I think. Maybe I should just actually note all the options for every single Yajilin clue. I think that is sensible. So this one can't be 2 and can't... Oh, this one's a 1. It can't reach 3 because there's not enough room. So this is a 1, which is that one. This one, 1, 2, could be a maximum of 3, but can't be 2. So this has got to be a 1 or a 3. Feels like I should be able to resolve that. No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to. This one's quite interesting because these two squares can't be blocks because they contain loop. So there's this has to be a maximum of 2. There's only 4 cells that its blocks can occupy. So that's a 1 or a 2. This one I've not done. Oh, and that one. Let's look at this one. This one, it already sees 1 block, and it can take another 3 at maximum. So this is 1, 2, 3, or 4. It can't be 2. 1, 3, or 4. And this one can't. Oh, this one can't be 1, 3, or 4. So this is a 2 because it can't be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 would be the maximum. So this square is a 2, and we get another digit. Now, 2's look here and here, so we can pencil mark 2's into box 9. One of the things I've been impressed with so far on this puzzle is that it's needed both the logic of the Yajilin and the logic of the Sudoku to make progress. It's very common when you see these hybrid puzzles that basically, you know, what we find ourselves doing is the whole Yajilin and then the whole Sudoku, or vice versa. But to mix them up, now that takes real skill. Now, sorry, I'm a bit stuck at the moment. Let me just try and find something to go on. 5, look, this 5 means there's a 5 in one of those 2 squares, so there must be a 5 in one of these 2 cells. This column is very cluttered as well, isn't it? We need to place 3 and 5 in the column. So let's pencil mark that in. This has got to be 3 or 5. This has got to be 3 or 5. Now, no, sorry about this. I'm a bit stuck. Here's some logic. Here's some Yajilin logic. Let's look at the bottom row of the grid. Can this extend like this? And the answer is no, for a beautiful reason. This square contains a dot. So if I connect these up, this square becomes a corner and has to be visited by the loop. But now, in this row, I've got 3 more corners. But I've already used 3 odd numbers. There are not 6 odd numbers between 1 and 9 inclusive. There are only 5. So this is absolutely impossible. So we can say with certainty that the loop turns here and it turns here, and now it can't turn. If it turns there again, we get exactly the same problem, 6 odd numbers in the row. So it mustn't turn, it must continue up. Hits an even number, it must continue. Oh, this is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And look, yes, this is now these 2 squares, this one and this one, have corners in them, but there's a 1, 3, 7 in the row. So these have to be a 5, 9 pair, and there's a 9 there. So I think this square is a 9. How do I do this? 9. This square is a 5. This square is a 4 because of the Sudoku. This 5 fixes the 3. That fixes the 5 there. And I'm tempted to say that we are cooking with gas. Now 6 and 9 into these squares. 9 here fixes that. That's a 9. That's a 6. So this square should be a 4. And all of a sudden we've made a flurry of progress. Now, yes, this square we can use the Yajilin. This square can't be visited by the loop, because if the loop goes in there, it can't escape. So this square must be a block, which means this square is a corner square, so the loop's going to have to turn. And this has hit an 8, so that it must extend upwards. And now we've got more Yajilin logic. Look, let's let's look at this part of the grid on the left hand side. We've got one, oh, how do I do this? We've got one loop end here, one here, that's 2, one here, that's 3, one here, that's 4. So there are an even number of loop segments in this section of the grid. And that's great because we need to connect up loop segments evenly. If there were 3 loop segments in this section, we would have a problem because one of the loop segments would get stranded. Now, what does this mean? Well, can this turn? If that turns and goes through this gate, I have 3 loop segments left and no way of getting another loop segment into this region. So we are going to strand part of our loop here. So this does not turn. This continues down. And then this square can't take loop, or then it'll be stranded. So that square is also red. Let's put in our dot. This square's got to continue. Oh, have I broken it? No, I haven't. Oh, I thought I'd broken it then, because this has got to continue down. And then this has got to continue down, but luckily this can turn right and get out. And look, this square now is not a clue square. It's not a loop square, so it must be a red square. Not the Moscow kind. And now this, yeah, this clue is forced. It sees 4 red squares, so we can actually fill this in. This is 4, that must be 3. That one we don't, oh, we do know because it's not 3, so that's 1. That one's 1 as well because it's not 4 or 3. Oh, this one's 1, but it already sees 1. So the whole of the rest of this row must be loop, which means the loop must do this, and these 2 squares must also be dots. And it's hit a 6 there, so it must continue. What a puzzle. I mean, seriously, what a puzzle this is. 2, 3, 5, look, in this column. So let's see if we can get some pencil marking done. This square can only be 2 or 3. That square, that can be 2, 3 or 5. This one can be 2, 3 or 5. But that can't be a 2 because it's a corner. So this one can only be 3 or 5 actually. Now, can we take this logic? I'm sure we can take it further. I just can't. Oh, row 8. 5, 8 and 9 to place. This square is a naked single. It can't be 5 or 9. That's got to be 8. So let's put that in. That's 8. So there's an 8 in one of these 2 cells. There's a 4, look, in one of those 2 cells by Sudoku. The only thing I'm struggling now with is there's a lot going on in the pencil marking of this puzzle. It's not even just normal pencil marking, it's loops, it's dots. It's a bit, yeah, it's a bit difficult to follow. Now, this one, look, has not got a red dot, and a red block, I should say. So that's going to have to go here, which means our loop must continue upwards. This one doesn't have to. This could turn left, but that's got to be a dot. I'm going to tidy up some of the pencil markings now because it's getting confusing. That can't be an 8. That can't be an 8. The 4s have resolved, the 9s and the 3s have resolved. I haven't resolved those 4s or these 6s. This can't be a 1 anymore, look. Let's tidy that. Oh, or a 3. That's got to be a 5 or a 7. This square, oh, this square's got to be a 5. Just it's a naked single because of the 9 here. So let's put that in. That's a 5. This is a 9. That means this is a 9 by Sudoku. Again, tidy up pencil marks. Let's have a look at this column. We've still got 2, 5 and 7 to place. 2 must go here. This must be 5 or 7. This must be 5 or 7. The 2 here means this square is not a 2. That's a 3 or a 5. That means, that means this square is a 2. So the Sudoku is now taking precedence. But once we get the 2, we've got to remember that this is no longer a turning square. So that takes the loop further up. So now what do we do? This square is interesting, suddenly. This has a 4 in it, so it can't be a turning square. But if it's not a turning square, i.e. it's not a loop square, and it's not a clue square, it must be a red square. So that's a red square, which means we get to place more dots. Okay. So I feel like we've made reasonable progress, but now I feel like I'm grinding to a bit of a halt. Oh, 1s and 2s. Oh, goodness. 1, 2 here, or 2 2s here, 2 1s here. So these two, oh goodness, I've got to go back to numbers. These 2 squares are a 1 2 pair. That means 4 in this box has got to be in either this square or this square by Sudoku. And we've effectively got 6 squares placed now in row 4 of the grid. So I need to place 3, 4 and 6. So this square's got to be just a 3 or a 6, I think. This square is a 4 or a 6. This square is 3, 4 or 6. This square's a 3 or a 6 as well, just to complete box 5 of the grid. Now that's nice, because that means these 3 squares must be the balance for this column, which are 1, 2 and 7, look. It's a real shame that this wasn't the same. If this had just been even, we could have extended it. 4, look, we can place in one of these 2 cells, because of this 4 here and this 4 here. Okay. So, what next? What have I not used? Okay, let's ask that question. I've used this clue. Now in fact I've used this clue a little bit, in the sense I have 2 red squares. My door it's really windy here and my door keeps slamming. Hopefully that's not distracting for you. But this 2 clue, I've got my 2 red blocks, so the rest of this column has got to be loop squares. So this 8. Okay. So this 8 is a loop square, but we know we can't turn on this square. So if the loop, if we extend this cell one further, now we've made this a corner. And we can't make this a corner, so this loop must turn here and continue, which means this continues. Now we can't go into this square with the... This is just... It's brilliant. This can't go... We can't take this square, because then the loop will turn. So this loop must turn here, and this must be a red square. And now the loop must go up again in order not to leave this square behind. Good grief. So now I've used this one. I've used that one. I've not quite used this one, look, because I've got the red square, but this square has also got to be a dot square. Okay. This one I've not used. Now this one So this, if this is 2, this one would turn red. If this is 1, this one would be a loop square, but the loop could drop down here. Whoa, okay. Oh, here's a beautiful trick. Look at this. Look at this loop segment here. If this turns this way, what happens? The answer is the puzzle breaks. Because once this hits the 6 is even, so it's got to continue. But this loop has turned in this square, so this square could not have been a 4. So this square must be the 4 from our pencil marks, which means the loop would go like that and like that. And now we've got 2 loops, and we must not have 2 loops. So this has got to extend one further down. Oh, we can do the same trick again in this square. Can this square turn? If it turns, we know this square was not... Oh no, we can't. I was about to say, well, I can't. I was hoping I could force it into this square and then force this into here, but I don't think I can, because I don't know that this square can't turn. Although if it does turn, how does it turn? It either turns into a loop there, or it turns into a 6 and has to turn in this square, which it can't. So it is good logic, it's just not for the reason I thought it was. This square cannot turn. So that continues, but we don't know whether it is the 8 or not. Ah, oh well, it's still... Ah, but now we know the 6. This 6 can't be... it can't be a loop square. Because if it's a loop square, it has to be a turning. So this must be a red square, which means this cell is a dot and this cell is a dot, and this is gorgeous now. Look, we can go back to loop, go back to loop. How do I do this? Like that. So this now has to be in this one. Well, I can actually see now that this loop can't come this way, because what's going to happen down here is that you're going to isolate one portion of the loop. But let's just see if we can prove that without me having to extend this loop for miles. Let me just have a think about this. This square can't be the 4 now, so the 4, oh goodness, the 4 must move there. Let's fix that as a normal square. So this is not 4. The 4 must go... Oh, the 4 must go there, which is a loop square. So this has got to extend. And this square now, the loop has to turn. It's come up here. It's going to have to turn in this square. So this square... Oh, I was going to say it can't be a 6, so where does the 6 go in the box? Is that good logic? I think it is. This 6 rules a 6 out from this square and this square. If this is a turning square, I think this is the only option for a 6 in this box. It's just madness, which is fitting given it's by Mad Mahogany. So this is a 6, which means... That's a 6. This is a 2. This is a 2 now. That's going to be enormous, because if this is a 2, that means that square's got to be red. Which means this... Oh, this is... We're going to have to go in here, turn. In here, turn. This is an 8. Continue. This loop mustn't isolate, so it has to turn this way. This has to turn this way, and that's the Yajilin done. We've done the loop. What a puzzle. Now, this square is a turning square, so it can't be a 6. 3. That's a 6. That means that's a 4 if I trust my pencil marking. That's a 4. So that should be a 3. This row is done. Okay, well that's good. Now, does this take us any further though? Hopefully it will. Oh, where does 8 go? If this is a turning square, the 8 must live at the very top of the grid. That's an 8. That's an 8. That's a 6, therefore. 6 must be here by Sudoku. This is a 5-7 pair. That still looks like good logic. But if that's a 5-7 pair, this square is a 3. So where does 3 go in this box? Because of the 3 here and the 3 here, it must go there, which is a lovely square for it because it is a turning square. The 3 and the 5 get resolved. That gives us the 7, which gives us a 7 here. This should be a 5. That gives us a 5 here. Oh, not a 45, a 5. That square's a 7. Okay, so this square should just be the balance, which is a 5. The 7 here fixes that this is a 1. We need to place 2 and 7 in row 1. There's a 7 here, so the 2, 7 get resolved. I've got to finish this soon, or my door's going to fly off its hinges. 1, 5, and 7 into this box. So that should be 7, which is odd, which is good. This should be 1, which is odd. All of these turning squares are working nicely. And I think I've just got to finish this off, have I? 7 and 9. So 7 there, 9 here. Now I don't have a check function, so I'm now just going to spend a moment looking at this to see whether it looks correct. I have got a digit in every square. It is a large digit. The Yajilin is one loop. It has got odd digits at the turns. I think it was logic that got me here. So I think this is what I'd submit in a competition. I hope it's correct. Obviously, if it isn't, I will put a note under the video. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. I loved that puzzle. Mad Mahogany, that is a really, really classy Sudoku. Or is it a Yajilin? I don't know. But whatever it is, I enjoyed it. See you later on Cracking the Cryptic.